Hey everyone, bonjour. We'll start in a couple of minutes. If one of you want to say that you can hear me, that would be reassuring for me. A little echo back from you on the other side of reality. Merci, thanks so much. From Oregon and California and Ottawa and Quebec. And Frédéric from Percé, always there. Fergus, sweet. Hi, welcome, hello, bienvenue, salut. So we're together again, or maybe you're joining for the first time. Maybe you've just read in the Forbes magazine that we're one of the best meditation center online. Anyway, welcome. It feels from my side of reality very special, very sweet that we can be together in this way, and knowing that all these human beings scattered all over the place in different countries, continents, neighborhoods are coming together to just be aware, to care, to be curious about what's happening together with hopefully not too many words, but a quality of presence that is sensitive, intelligent, and caring. Yeah, quality of presence where I really see it as we put down the weapons for a few moments. In French it would be une trêve, a ceasefire. That's how I see practice a bit. A ceasefire, we all stop for a moment. The opinions, the preferences, the hopes and fears. And we put down the weapons and we come together in our shared humanity and just take notice of what's the state of the union, if I can say like this. What's the state of the affairs? Not in thoughts. That is the unique contribution to the conversation that mindfulness has. So we notice how it is here now, how it is to be a human being, but not with so many thoughts, more with listening, with receptivity, with don't know mind, instead of the know it all. the expert mind. I was reading this week that they were saying expert can talk with much confidence about what they know. And people who don't know about stuff usually speak even more confidently than expert about stuff they don't know about. So here we let go of our kind of know-it-all attitude, and we actually pretend we don't know, or acknowledge that we actually don't know everything, and we listen a little bit, and we feel, and we éprouver. Yeah, we feel. We feel. We don't push on things. We don't demand answers or explanations, or demand this or that. We just spent a few moments together and individually both, just receiving life, just discovering what it is to be this one, or a human being right now. So, shall we try this a little bit? Maybe for 20 minutes or so, and I'll be guiding maybe my style a bit, the style of the house. And you have the chance to not be on camera, and so the whole system can relax. You're not exposed. I don't know if it works in English, these words. It's not like everybody's checking on you, your posture, and this and that. Yet you're really here. In a way, you're seen. I know you're here. I'm doing this for you. We're doing this for each other. But visually, you're free to freed, so you can be in the posture that is supportive for you. I would definitely like to suggest to bring relaxation in, and also some curiosity, something alive, something that has vitality to it. So we're not here to drift or fall asleep. That's not what we're practicing. We're practicing in this kind of meditation, mindfulness, being awake, sensitive, in contact with life through the senses. So being aware. So there's much life in there. Life and relaxation. So it means that maybe we can take a few deeper breaths as we start the practice here, and your eyes can be opened or closed as you see fit, as you want now. And maybe a few deeper breaths, because on the out breath, it's such a good place to release shoulders and release eyebrows and tensions that could be there in the forehead. And give our weight back to the planet that really holds us. Let gravity do what it does. In this practice, we don't want to force, concentration or attention in any way. It's a non-violent practice. That's the beauty of it. We don't force anything. We just maybe allow what is very natural for a human being. Very natural to be sensitive and to feel. So now we can feel the body touching the points of contact with chair, sofa, cushion, ground. We're in contact with earth. This is actually earth touching earth. We are, in a way, earth. an expression, a manifestation of the earth element. And a manifestation might become more palpable in silence, a manifestation of the air element also, as it comes in and fills the lungs, rushing in and out very naturally. Allowing that process to happen in its own way. The system, so intelligent, feeding, nourishing itself. So body maybe sitting here, breathing, and hearing the voice of the teacher, the gaps of silence or ambient sounds from the room or from outside. Not trying to gain anything, to explain anything. Is so simple, just the opportunity for a moment to be touched by the impressions of life, of reality as they are now. Sound impressions, or tactile impressions coming from the breath or the tingling in the hands or somewhere else. Break from trying to prepare, prevent, plan, anticipate, explain, solve anything. All these attitudes can drop for a few moments. We're freed from that. We can just discover how it feels to be sensitive, receptive, or attentive. How it feels to be conscious. How it feels to be in relationship with the body and environment through the senses. Experiencing intimacy in this way and seeing if we can stay around. Stay awake to what's happening. As we're here, sensitive, being somewhat intimate with sounds or sensations, with the body alive here, with this whole sensitive system, attentive to it, we discover the inner state of this being right now. Maybe there's some agitation, and or some quietness too. Some of us will discover we're preoccupied, under occupation with thoughts and the rush of thinking, worry, the rush of narration, description, preoccupied. And some of us will discover that there's some space inside, silence of listening. Something available. There might be, or not, but there might be, I don't know, sadness in there, some kind of mood or undertone, or maybe joy or ease or uneasiness. So many forms the inner world takes. The inner space sometimes is heavy, sometimes light, spacious, tight. So we just discover how it is. The tonality in the heart or mind or the attitude, mood of this being right now. No judgment, not trying to get anything else, just discovering it's like this. A little shaky or spacious. It's exactly like this right now for this being. Body still alive with gravity, pressure on the butt or along the legs or feet. Body still alive with breath, belly rising, maybe and falling naturally, the chest slightly expanding, contracting in its own way. Air moving in, creating slight pressure by the nostril and inside as it comes in, and maybe as it comes out. Body alive with breath, with touch, alive with audition, hearing. Sensitive to the ambient temperature. And discovering also what it is to be attentive. What is this friendly awareness, non-judging awareness we call mindfulness? What does it feel like to bring a friendly attention to the immediate experience? Just for a few more moments, allowing the system to be alive as it is, alive with breath, alive with silence, alive with thoughts, agitation or quietness, alive with tingling or alive with joy or with dullness or alive with boredom or curiosity or refined attention. In any way that it's alive, this whole system, this whole being, allowing it to be alive as it is, and to just notice how it is right now for this being. And if you want, for the last minute of this practice, I invite you to open the eyes if they're closed and just become aware, notice, see if it's possible to practice with eyes open. Is it possible to be interested by attention as the eyes are open? What is it like to be attentive when the dominant sense is back, or dominant for a number of us? Can we still feel the body breathing, tingling, resting, touching? Can we, with eyes open, become aware of hearing? Can we, with eyes open, become aware of the mood in there? The neutral mood, or the charged, intense mood, or emotions present, or the delicate qualities that can show up in practice, like curiosity, calm, care. So with eyes open, becoming aware of the state of the being meditating. No judgments. It's like this, very distracted, contracted, or available. Simply open, maybe. Hearing bell, maybe body moving, maybe discovering the screen again, or the Ah, okay, thank you for doing this. Something about doing this together, even through the miles, that is feels to me very supportive. I think to you too. Yeah, I think you wouldn't be there otherwise. Huh? It's quite special. Yeah, so thank you for coming. So we're practicing together. I think we could say we're practicing non-clinging. Huh? That's very much, one of the wise ways that mindfulness works. It creates very supportive conditions for non-clinging, for the mind that doesn't like zero in, contract. That would be a good verb, I think. Contract around, fixate on something, obsesses, or So we're practicing a kind of non-contraction together, and learning the taste of non-clinging, the taste of a non-contracted mind. We're exploring this, and there's no failure in a way here, because if the mind happens to be contracted or fixated or identified or bugged by or opinionated about, or like really holding on tightly to its preferences or what its cravings or urges, like sitting here and the mind is all contracted on what it should feel and what it's not feeling. If this is happening, then it's good practice, because we're actually getting acquainted with these mind states, and through this practice of being awake, feeling, we're opening the feedback loop so that we can notice for ourselves in a deeper way, maybe vipassana, seeing more clearly, more deeply. We can notice in a felt way that kind of intelligence, intuitive, felt, incarnated, embodied intelligence. We can get to clarify for us how these attitudes that I'll define as contracted are energy eating, are distressing. And through maybe the guidance of the teacher, through the powerful intention to just notice, to just allow things to be felt, we are also getting acquainted with the release of that clinging, contracting mind. So we're practicing together, or studying, maybe we could say, the non-clinging mind, the clinging and the non-clinging mind. And the wisdom will be able in time to actually choose a little bit more when there'll be a little play, that we won't just stay contracted because that's our habitual way, or that's why have been trained, or have trained our minds. With practice in times, we'll see the opportunity to not contract around things felt, thought, imagined, past, present, future. We'll learn, this is what we call practice, learn to not cling, to not to not be bugged so much. There's probably other words that would be useful, but these are the ones that come to mind now. And in a way, that's the whole practice. And the non-clinging mind, the mind that can be engaged with reality, awake to it, not in denial, not stupid about things, but really in connection with things without that, I don't know if I can call it added value, because it's quite the opposite, but that's the expression that comes to mind now, the added value of like contracting around. So I want to talk more about this today, and I'm reminded just as we started the practice, and it came to me like, yeah, this is practicing non-contraction around things both beautiful or difficult or neutral, as many of the things we experience are. Not not contracting, the non-clinging mind. It made me think of Joseph Goldstein, one of maybe many of our teachers, one dear teacher in this tradition. And I spent a number of years practicing with him, and there's a particular sentence, phrase that he uses that I know he likes. That phrases. That's why he comes back with it, regularly, I would say. And I like the sentence also. This kind of advice or description of practice, partly because I see in his eyes, the playfulness when he brings it, because he knows the depth of this saying of his, and the actual phrasing, the syntax in French, is wrong. There's something off in the English expression of it, and I think he quite enjoys it, and so that makes him smile or giggle when he says it, because there's a mix of it's kind of mischievous, there's a mix of depth of insight in it, wisdom, and playfulness. And he says, it doesn't matter what it is that you don't cling to. It doesn't matter what you don't cling to. That's how he says it. It doesn't matter, Pascal, what you don't cling to. So, in a twisted way, it puts the whole attention on non-clinging. It doesn't matter what it is that you don't cling to. It could be an opinion. If you don't cling to it, that's an experience of freedom. It could be an event. If you don't cling to it as supposed to be something else, it should not be. It should be, it could be. So it could be non-clinging to something beautiful happening, not clinging to something difficult happening, not clinging to an opinion, not clinging to something as I or mine. It doesn't matter what you don't cling to. And in this practice, again, we learn to feel the experience of clinging and to feel the experience of non-clinging. We learn to discern, to become really clear about the felt sense. This is what we call vipassana again. It's an intelligence that is empirical, phenomenological. So it's in the phenomena, it's in the experience that we get to know for ourselves what is the way that the mind holds things that is painful, stressful, entangling, and what are the ways that the mind doesn't cling, that are onward leading, liberating, supportive, beneficial for us and for others. These are all like textures of different attitudes in the mind. And so in practice, we learn to see for ourselves. Maybe there's a list somewhere or a few and says, oh, a mind that is not contracted and decontracted, décontracté in French, not contracted, expansive, could be a mind that has, benevolence to it, loving kindness, friendliness. These kinds of mind state tend to be non-clinging, and so we could hear about it, but until we live it consciously, until we get to study it as it's happening inside of us, as it's present or as it's absent, then we won't know for sure. It will remain maybe conceptual, intellectual, out there, a list out there of things that attitudes that we should have. But the beauty of the practice of mindfulness is that we get, as we sit here, to see all these different passages of mood. And then we get to notice, what it is to be contracted around an opinion, and what it is to have clarity about something without the contraction, the clinging. I hope this makes sense to you. And the idea here would be for us to go back to our life in a few moments, in a few minutes, and be able to and bring interest to this. Oh, I wonder today as I go along if I'll be able to notice the clinging mind and the non-clinging mind, and how I could go maybe from one to the other, from the clinging to the non-clinging, which is really the process of freedom, of freeing the mind, of the development of wisdom. It's basically noticing the absence of clinging, if it's there, and rejoicing. Oh, the mind is not making a big deal out of this. It's not, the mind can hold this, with stability, with honesty, with care, with equanimity, is able to be with what's happening in our world with care, without, suffering from it. It's not easy, all this. But I would like to take a few minutes to name the things we tend to cling to. There's different lists of that, and that particular list of 4 that I want to name here has been very helpful for me. And so that's why I want to share it today. The 4 ways we cling, or the 4 kinds of things the mind gets bugged by, or fixated around, or identified with, or that the 4 kinds of things that the mind often don't hold wisely. That's one way to put it, maybe. And so check this out. Is that true for you? Could that help you in the coming week or days to see, oh, I see what the teachings or Pascal was saying on YouTube, about what the mind tends to have an unwise rapport with. And so in this list of 4, the first kinds of things that we tend to get hooked by, would be a way to talk about it, is around sense pleasure. So when something has an aspect of pleasure in it or displeasure, often very quickly it will come with the mind that zeroes in on and start chewing on, or wanting to protect, keep, get more of, or get rid of, or think it shouldn't be, like reactivity in the system, where suddenly, we can't actually be aware of things around. We become easily kind of obsessed or compulsive about. Do you see? There's many words and many maybe ways that the clinging mind shows in the system. It's for us to go and study. But how with the promise of something being pleasant, the mind, instead of being able to allow this to be there, or allow this to be a possibility, it will shrink. The mind will become infatuated and obsessive about, in fear, with something pleasurable. Will it happen? Will I get it? Will I be able to keep it? And suddenly something quite light as an experience that is pleasurable becomes stressful for us, because it could be something pleasurable from the past, from the present happening now, or from the future, possible in the future. And the mind can really make it an object, and start to, obsess about, adore, be infatuated with, be caught. This is a mind that is caught. Huh? And so maybe something beautiful happened in the past, and you can see the clinging mind by returning to it, with devotion. Like, yeah, back in the days, it was so, so the mind has made an object of this. The thing as arose, and if that's the right word here, as arose, the thing arose and passed. It was an event. It came to be and then it went away. But the clinging mind is not aware of this. It just made the thing a thing and is desperately looking to get it back or think it should be. So that's the clinging mind. It's kind of like fixated, identified. And so maybe there's a process here of noticing, oh yeah, look at this. Oh, I see what Pascal is saying. I can see with that particular thing in my life. It's gone, but it's not gone in the mind. The mind keeps holding it, although it's not possible because it's gone. But the idea, it made a thing out of it, and now it's cherishing it and suffering from it. And so here there's an opportunity, or there's a passage there. It's very delicate, but to actually allow something to have passed. That's maybe a process of grief, feeling the loss. Is that the right word here? That something was lost, is gone. And in this we go from the contracted mind, yeah, but back then it was so good, I wish it kept going, the no pandemic world, no. We can maybe relax the mind and go towards non-clinging about this, whatever it is, this event of the past or situation. This is no more. And the mind can maybe experience non-clinging around this. And it can have a flavor of bittersweet. It's gone. It's not just very light and there's a lightness in it, maybe. Oh, it's gone. Space opens up. The mind is not so contracted around. Space opens up, but there's also, the experience of loss, grief. Something is gone, something dear, something beautiful, meaningful, rich, is gone. And in there could be, some space gained and also some tenderness. And a different rapport you can see with what is gone is no more. Or, you might think, oh, I hope this will be, I hope I will keep, healthy, and I hope, my people will keep healthy, and this would feel so good, and there can be contraction around this. But there might be a way that the mind could relax and recognize, this is not in my control. I can certainly take care of myself and others in all the ways that I know. And maybe allow for more space in the whole mind, space of possibilities. This might be, and there might be also dis-ease that shows up closer to me. And maybe the mind can relax in that, allow for reality to be there and not fixating in something wanted. There's richness in this exploration here of the clinging and the non-clinging mind with what is pleasant, or similarly with the unpleasant. I'll move on to a second aspect of reality that we tend to cling to. So the first is around the possible experience of comfort, pleasure, displeasure, discomfort, how we fear losing or fear getting what is unpleasant, and how we could practice relaxing around unpleasantness, past, present, or future possible. The second aspect I want to talk about is around opinions. Yeah, so the mind can easily, around an opinion, become very contracted defend the opinion, be aggressive, as aggression around the opinion, be charged by opinion, all kinds of ways that bring distress, that are heavy, depleting in terms of energy for us, and very aggravating for people around to be confronted with somebody who is very, very tight around opinion and want to violently impose their opinion, or sometimes in a passive aggressive way, and so around opinion, there's a very delicate work to be done here. It's not that we shouldn't have opinions. My take when I look at the Buddha's teaching is that the Buddha had a lot of opinions about how reality worked, how to be in relationship with it, and actually spent his life expressing opinions about reality. But the mind seemed to have been, or was, a non-clinging mind around opinions. So the Buddha didn't seem to get aggravated by his own opinions, when I'm not that good, actually. My opinions can actually have me lack sleep, sometimes. Like I can't fall asleep because opinions are churning inside, and I'm chewing on them, and I'm stuck with my own opinions, And so I think I read somewhere the Buddha was suggesting that opinions should lead to calm and clarity and peace. That was a shock when I read this. Oh my God, have I some work to do? So that's really interesting here. How could I have an opinion and have clarity maybe about something? And so have integrity, have honor or respect my opinion, even maybe promote it, maybe even I want to use this. It's delicate here, the word I'm going for, the verb I'm going for, but even fight for it, like for one's opinion, without it leading to burnout or depletion in some way, or without it. I'm thinking about the impact outside. So in conversation, sometimes, the way I hold my own opinion will make it possible for me to be heard, or impossible for me to be heard, because I'm so charged that people won't be able to consider the opinion. They'll just see that somebody's really worked up here. Pascal is. And so there's no judgments around it from the point of view of practice. We just want to investigate, explore. How could that opinion be held? Or views. That's one way to talk about it, holding on to views. And in the teaching, it talks particularly about the pain, the multiplied pain of holding on to wrong view. So a classic wrong view in the teachings is the view that things are solid and permanent, or should be, or and so the incapacity to recognize the dynamic nature of experiences, how we maybe naturally make things out of events, like Pascal, in a way you could say, is an event. It's not a thing. There's an arising of a certain flow of something called Pascal, and there's a passing of it. So this comes to be and then will disintegrate. And the view that it's solid and intrinsic and separate and absolute, essential, I don't know how to say, creates a lot of stress. And practice will go as far in the depth of investigation. We will be able maybe to notice the impermanent, ephemeral, transient, and conditional nature of things. and make peace with them. So let go of clinging to the idea of solidity. We'll see how our identities are changing, our status is changing, how, health, for example, is not something mine and solid and permanent. It's something that is fluctuating. So is youth and memory, and relationships are always moving. Somebody is a friend and then an enemy for a few seconds at least, or sometimes a few years, and then whoops, our perceptions, how things appear, how we were seeing the virus, for example, thinking about things that are happening to us, how we were perceiving the virus back in January, and how it was appearing suddenly in February, and suddenly in March, and now in April, and how going along, our view of the future is transforming, and of everything. And so not clinging unconsciously to the idea of solidity, for example, that's a little bit deeper as a teaching, and learning to relax the grip that we have around views like the way we conceive the world. That's what we're talking about here. Very deep stuff. I don't know if in a few minutes I can really cover this. I have 2 more points here. So there's the mind that tends to cling to experiences because of their pleasurable nature or unpleasurable nature. The mind that tends to cling to views and opinions. And just at least I'll drop these 2 others here in the bag, in the mix. The mind that tends to cling, check this out this week, to rites and rituals and ways to do things and norms, and something around this here is very interesting. How the mind will get really, especially if you're living with people these days, roommates or housemates, or partners or family members. I've seen so many times my mind clinging to rites and rituals is the classic way to talk about it, but the ways to do things, that's not how we do this. Just give me a fridge. I'll have a lot of opinions. I have a few friends that have a lot of opinions about how things should go in the dishwasher. What goes where. Actually, there's a study that I read about saying that men have more opinions about how to feel a dishwasher than women. Apparently, that's a little binary, but check this out. Is that true in your reality? So ways to do things, and my mind, I can see easily jumped like this, but that's not, I just go for a walk and I'll have opinions about how people should do what they do, where they should walk these days and walk around me or me, things like this. And so it can become a little playful in a way, instead of just being hooked by my opinions and views and ways to do things, to actually notice and experience release, oh, that's just the mind clinging to a view. Maybe it's okay. Maybe I can make space for it. Maybe I can have my view and let the other have theirs. Okay, I'll just drop the last one for as an information. Another area where we cling, that the Buddha talked about, and maybe another week we'll dive more into it. But that's a very much more subtle and insidious and counterintuitive, but the way that the mind clings around things is what we call identification or appropriation. So making I or mine something that actually is not in an absolute way. So I might think that this is my, I don't know, memory, intelligence, sense of humor, whatever comes to your mind. This is me, this is mine. And there's a mistaken view. Maybe it's not too bad right now, but the day that this thing will vanish because of conditions, memory disappearing, then if I think that this was mine in an absolute way, really mine, but not belonging to conditions, conditional, contingent on certain things being there, then, if I think the other is mine in some way, my ... And if I'm clinging in a way that I'm not suffering right now, maybe, but later there might be suffering when I realize that this was not mine or me, youth, or whatever else. Sometimes it's around, a function we have. I'm a dysfunction in society. Could be I'm a mother. I'm a artist. I'm a whatever it is. And whoops, one day maybe it'll change. That won't be my function anymore, or main one. And having cling to it, I will be a little bit lost, because I didn't know with wisdom that this was not exactly me or mine, but something that was happening. Yeah. It's 1:00. Can't cling to time. I want to keep time for a few more minutes. So let's maybe, if you want to, if you have to go, please do. But let's maybe take just a couple of minutes to let these words dissolve. I'm throwing it out there. You can make more research if you want on Google about the 4 attachments, I think it's called in English, this list. So just being here, letting the words dissolve. Seeing if there is an experience of the clinging mind to the best of our ability with what we know. How does it feel right now? Is the mind rather clinging or experiencing mainly non-clinging? Is the mind contracted around something it wants or doesn't want? Or maybe not. Maybe it's not contracted right now. One way to go towards the decontracted mind is to see if we can allow what is there to be there, even if it's unpleasant, or slightly disturbing. See if it can be okay that it's like this right now. Allowing what is pleasant to be there if it is, to be experienced. You don't have to shy away from it or reject pleasantness. Just explore the possibility of not getting hooked by it, just allowing it to be there. Similarly with unpleasant, if it's present, making space for it. And if comes to in mind, if mind is visited by an opinion or a preference, just seeing if we can relax around this. Just notice that it's an appearance, impression. It appears like this to me right now. Not making it too solid or serious. This is how it appears right now to me. This is the ephemeral opinion I have about this. It's probably going to change, get refined, nuanced. Maybe more will be revealed. Allowing the time to end this meeting to arise. Et voilà. I think it should have been longer. That's my opinion, and I'm going to cling to it for a few seconds and then see if I can non-cling to it. It can be okay that it turned out like this. Okay. I wish you well. These are organized, supervised, umbrellaed by True North inside these meetings, classes, or whatever you want to call them. It's a non-profit organization that is trying to stay alive right now, and we don't know what's going to happen to it. So if you want to support this organization by a small donation, by a big one, please do so. It'll be for your own happiness and for the happiness of others. And so if you look below, I think what you might see right now, there's a show more. I think there's a way to support Pascal, but if you press show more, you'll see there's a way to support True North Insight. It would be really, it would make me really happy if you directed your generosity towards this organization to keep alive all the beautiful things we do, the retreats, the prison project, the classes. One day, we might go back to the old ways and be really happy to have such an organization still alive. Okay? I wish you the very best, sending you all my love. And see you soon. And check out all the offerings here on YouTube on this channel. There's plenty every day.